Does that make sense? Because a lot of you, we're going to talk about taking maybe a gap year, where if you don't have the stuff or the money saved up, you're not going to be able to do those things because people aren't going to be able to sponsor you anymore. And it's a very difficult time for many, especially when it comes to that. All right, many factors. What are some of the factors that you guys maybe have listed? What's important to you? Do you have any? Do you not care? You just want to get a job to get a job. What do you guys want to do? That's the main thing I have for you. Anybody? I love it. Early in the morning is great. One of the big things you guys need to look at is saying to yourself, all right, some of them that's already given to you, getting paid, gaining skills and experience. Some of you are going to take a pay cut. My youngest took a pay cut so he could get experience as a plumber. Some of you in here are going to have to try to realize and try to understand what your long-term goals are going to be. And what those are is to go in. I've talked to the story about how when I became a tutor, avid, when my kids were small, it actually cost me more to get a babysitter than what I got paid. So I was actually losing money every week because I was paying a babysitter. But we could afford to do that at the time because I was overseas in Japan and it was working like 3 days a week, and I got the experience to do and to become a teacher and kind of like, okay, is this really what I want to do? And it really was. It was kind of like the coup de grace or the last step. So for you guys, you just have to make sure you understand as you're going forward, when we start looking at these careers, is what is the most important factor to you? And then what type of work should you have, right? Now, there are always going to be different types of work, okay? And here's a couple scenarios in relation to this, is that when you were talking about different types, we are talking about full-time, part-time, all those things that you have to basically understand, okay? You guys have to understand what you want to do, all right? Are you going to want to be a part-time somewhere in multiple locations? Realize if you're part-time that you're not going to get benefits. Are you going to want to do volunteer work? Some of you, the only way you're going to start your career and where you want to be is volunteer work. Taking an internship somewhere, taking a program somewhere, doing anything like that, okay? That's going to have to be a realization for some of you in here. What type of work are you going to go for? All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you know what the difference between the two are. All right, full-time works on average at least 30 hours a week. Part-time is under that. You can get 2 part-time jobs or a full and a part, work on the weekends. It's up to you depending on what you guys are going to want to do, okay? Make sure you know the difference between paid. I mean, it sounds pretty simple and elementary, but not all work is going to be paid, especially if you're trying to get some type of money, if you're not getting a monetary compensation, but you want that work experience, okay? Some of you in here, if anybody's going in the medical career field, you can volunteer in a hospital, in a clinic, in an organization, okay? Heck, even for some of you in here, if you want to do, if you think you want to go do early childhood development, okay? You can volunteer, you just get clearance, and you can volunteer for a couple days a week just at a daycare center. See what it's like, okay? See if this is what you want to do. Because who knows? Some of you may think, I want to do this, and then you actually get in there and you realize, oh, crap, I don't want to do this. That happens. There was a lady I know, she wanted to be a teacher. She finished her degree in math, actually with a secondary education credit. She was a teacher for 1 year, okay? Went to McClintock last year and was like, nope, I'm done. So they have 4 years of education, a minor in secondary education, and guess what? Now they're not a teacher, okay? Because once they step foot in the classroom, they're like, oh, crap, I can't do this on my own. Some of you in here are going to have to realize that, okay? So a great way to feel that out is to do unpaid work. If anybody here wants to be a landscaper, go try doing that for 1 day or 2 days or a week. Volunteer your services. Just walk up and say, hey, I'd like to know if I can do this and see what it's like, okay? Do you want to do it? You guys know what type of pay you'll get. Either a wage, that's basically hourly pay, salary, which is a set amount, or a stipend. okay? It's basically for a fixed amount over a certain period of time, okay? It's basically a baseline outcome. Usually only stipends apply to individuals that are like salesmen or something like that, where you get a stipend for depending upon how much you do within a certain time frame. So just kind of understand what you're looking for. The unpaid work is going to be either volunteer, where you're not getting paid, because basically they just want someone to be helpful. Like going into a hospital, being that everybody's seen the retirees if you've never been in a hospital. They're the ones that are up front, like saying, hello, how can I help you? Most of those are unpaid. They just want to be around people to say hello, because they don't want to sit at home. If you want to volunteer to get into some type of elderly care, you can do that as well. Go to a nursing home and request. I have a couple of cousins that have done that over the years, and then they've gotten involved. And one of my cousins eventually would like to open his own facility for the elderly. Okay, you guys have to figure those things out. All right, and then the last thing would be an intern. This is something we're actually going to talk about later on in the year. A lot of internships can lead to a job offer, however, it's not required. Interns are, if anybody in here wants to go into the media realm, usually you get an intern position, okay? If anybody in here wants to go into music, be a DJ, be a producer, you go in and actually are an intern at a radio producer. You don't get paid, but you're in there on your own free accord to learn how to run a board, to be a producer, to set up commercials. How do you do music? So that way on the weekends, every once in a while, they maybe give you a little bit of money. So if anybody in here is interested in going into radio or television production, the big things that a lot of people talk about, if you look back at where they all started, a lot of them started as interns somewhere. And so figure out if that's something you want to do. And we will talk about that after the career aspect, but just understand kind of where you're at. And then I'd want you guys to tell me which way do you guys who on here wants to get a full-time job? Does anybody actually want to get a part-time job? Just curious about that. Where you would go part-time somewhere just to get some money to live and then go do something else also on the side. Because that might be for some of you in here that want to do side gigs. You just go get a part-time job, so it's not your whole career, but you go in, you work maybe 30 hours a week to get money to live off of, and then you have the opportunity to go take, like if you're doing photography, if you're doing any other type of extracurricular thing that you could figure out how to do it. Okay, that's something that you guys are going to have to think about. And as we go through this week, hopefully it'll be helpful for you. All right. Now, this is pretty cool. I watched this lady before, and she's a very good speaker. A TED Talk that's going to come up here.
Advanced Care's new formula enriched with 1/4 moisturizers with natural oil leaves underarms healing healthy.
Oh my gosh, I can't skip this one.
More confident and hair-free. Effective protection on the skin.
Thank you for that. All right, nice TED Talk. We're going to listen to it for about 8 minutes, okay? She talks a little bit about finding your career and some of the misnomers that are out there. And so please, ladies and gentlemen, watch this for a bit.
Good afternoon, everybody. So how do you find what you want to do for the rest of your life? It seems like a big question, right? You're in college, you're just trying to get through the semester. But how do you figure out what you want to spend your time and energy on after you leave? I can tell you that most people make this decision the wrong way. Most people use the wrong criteria to choose not only their first job after college, but their entire career. And I can tell you from personal experience, as somebody who has changed jobs, from being a partner in a law firm, to being the manager of an angel investor network, to finally and happily being a business law professor here at Bentley, that there is a simple solution to choosing work that you are going to love for the rest of your career. But it requires knowing something about yourself that most people don't know. Most college students don't know it, but you can know it. And I'm going to tell you what it is. It is this. what do you enjoy being good at? What are you naturally good at that you like doing? Now, it's very different to know what you like being good at from what you are good at. Like people have probably told you all your life what you're good at or, you know, what your natural skills are. That's different from what you enjoy being good at. What you like being good at is what you should build your career on. Now, I myself was trying to figure out what to do with my own life a few years ago. A few years ago, I was a partner in an international law firm. I had a big title, I had a crazy big salary. I was doing what I had trained to do for 15 years. I was at the top of my game. I felt really posh and fabulous, you know, and I couldn't really expect more from my career, right? I had made partner, I was doing fine, but I was miserable. I hated coming to work every day, hated it. And that's no way to live. So I went out and I started talking to other people who had left the law to do different things. And I found former lawyers who were management consultants and editors and rabbis and psychotherapists and acupuncturists and research directors. And I talked to all of them. And I asked them to tell me their stories about changing careers. And as I listened to them, I realized that they all had the same thing in common. And it was this. In their current careers, the ones they liked, they were using the same skills, the same talents that they liked using in law, but they found a better and more fulfilling way to use those talents. What they were naturally good at had never changed, but they had found a better way to put those talents to use. And as a result, they were much, much happier. So we're talking to them changed fundamentally the way I thought about careers. Because to be honest, I never really thought much about happiness growing up. It wasn't something that I associated with work. It was something I thought was separate from work. But talking to all those people made me realize that it is absolutely essential to know what you like being good at in order to be happy long-term in your career. Now, let me tell you why this is more important than it has ever been before. 91% of millennials expect to spend less than 3 years in each job they have. That's a lot of job hopping. Over the course of your career, that's 15 to 20 jobs. Okay, that might not be so bad the first few times, but over time, what does that say to hiring managers? What does it say to recruiters? To look at your resume and see a bunch of different jobs where you spent a year, 2 years, 3 years. What it says to the hiring manager is that they should probably not invest in you. That maybe you're going to leave, you're likely to leave before that employer has recouped its investment in you. And maybe you really didn't even learn that much in the jobs that you had for such a short period of time. It's not a great way to build a career. Now, why are people changing jobs so often? It's because they're chasing happiness. It's because they're looking for personal fulfillment, which in itself is great. I'm all for happiness, and so are you guys. In fact, millennials value happiness at work more than any other generation since the 1950s, according to a recent Forbes study. That's fantastic. But I think millennials are going about looking for happiness at work the wrong way. I think too many people choose jobs based on who's coming to campus. Where can they make the most money out of the gate? What do most people in their major do? Who do they know? What corporate culture sounds really sexy? And those are all important and they're all relevant and should affect your decision in some way. But you should stay in the driver's seat. And what should drive your choice is where can you spend the most time doing what you love being good at. Career satisfaction comes from doing what comes easily to you for and around people who value that skill. I'm going to say that again. Career satisfaction comes from doing what comes easily to you for and around people who value that skill. So I made the mistake of choosing a career for the wrong reason. I went into law because I'm really good at arguing. I am. I'm great at arguing. You can ask my husband or my mother or anybody else who's known me for a long time, they know I'm good at arguing. And usually I would hear, before I decided what I wanted to do when I grew up, I would hear from other people, oh, you should be a lawyer, you know. Usually those are people on the losing end of arguments. And after a while, I believed them. And I thought, you know, this is not so bad, actually. Going to law school, you can make a lot of money. There's a lot of prestige in that, you know. And coming from a low-income family, as I do, that had a lot of pull. So I went to law school, and I did all the things that you're supposed to do in law school. And I worked for one law firm after another and built my way up to this partnership before I realized I don't like arguing. I really hate arguing. It kind of eats me up inside. And I liked it less and less as I got older. By the time I was in my 30s, which may seem like forever to you guys, but by the time I was in my 30s, I just didn't want to go to work anymore. I felt sick when I opened my email. I would feel this terrible feeling in the pit of my stomach when I approached my workplace. And as I say, that's no way to live. So there were some things about my job that I did like. I did like the part of my job where I had to take this complicated legalese, this weird convoluted language of the law, and translate it into English for my clients so that they could use business law to make strategic decisions. They could run their business well. I loved that. I loved that process of translating. And I really liked public speaking and semi-public speaking. I liked being up in front of a group of people like I am right now and explaining to them something that I found really important and that I thought would be helpful to them. I liked writing, but I didn't like writing the kind of briefs and long, weird old emotions that lawyers have to write. What I was able to do was find a career that let me do all the things I like being good at, that let me stand up in front of a group of people and talk about business law in a way that makes sense, I hope, to people who are managers or are going to be managers. This is incredibly thrilling for me. If you've been one of my students, you know how excited I get before class. Being a business professor for me is the perfect job because it lets me do what I love being good at. And that's what you should do too. But it starts with the self-knowledge. What do you like being good at?
All right, so what do you like being good at? I can actually tell you right now. Answer those questions if you have, because this is a lot of you guys figuring it out. I am in the same boat as this young lady here. Okay, you guys are very familiar with my story because I share it all the time. If anybody had me as a freshman, you know, some people are, I never understood how you could become a teacher and be just so, and when I'm like, this is awesome. I get to stand here, and I use a lot in my Algebra 1 class. They're probably getting sick and tired of me trying to show how y equals mx plus b can be used in the real world. Matter of fact, I know they're going to be sick of it when I create an activity about, which is what I did in the military, owning a snack bar. Because what you guys have to understand, the b is all of your expenses, and then you have linear equations, which would be x, all right, 3x. So if you charge 75 cents for Mountain Dew, then that's 0.75x. Depends on how many you sell. So you have to figure out your break-even point. Figure out what you should charge somebody. What is your profit? I mean, for me, I love this class. When they first gave me the financial algebra class as a, if you guys don't know, this class used to be the one where no teacher wanted this class. Mr. Kettlehut was the very last one to teach this before me 4 years ago. He hated this class. Now, mainly it's because the book they used was straight trash. The first time they gave it to me, and they're like, here you go. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, this is the book you use. I'm like, no, this is not finance. This is not algebra related. This is bullcrap. And I looked at them and I said, there's no way I'm ever going to teach this. And they're like, all right, well, you go ahead and you pick what you want. I'm like, really? Like, yeah, we had at the time, so this is 3 years ago, they have a Dave Ramsey course that they had for a semester. You could talk about, and we could go through, and I'm like, I'll take that. So went and got it, brought it in, great first year. Now, what was ironic about that first year, me teaching it, is that a lot of my seniors Some of them would talk. Most of them are quiet like you guys, because first hour is a little difficult to wake your brain up and start thinking about things at times. But what I found out later, because I had Miss Moss that year, is that I gave that curriculum to college math, and they did it in second semester. And the conversations that flowed out of those classes are what really I wanted to happen in mine. I just knew they wouldn't. It's an expectation I have. That you guys have to understand that I bring in, try to bring in math in the real world more than anything. I enjoyed being in the finance realm until, like that lady said, you just wake up one day and you're like, this sucks. I hated opening my emails. I'm like, all right, what's next? And what did I enjoy doing? Well, I enjoyed the volunteer work that I used to do all the time, where I did, which is hard to believe with my mouth, I did kids ministry stuff, where I would go up in front of kids on stage and I'd make a fool of myself. All right, I had a YouTube channel that had a bunch of videos on it that you guys aren't seeing because I deleted them. Because I knew if as a high school teacher, if they were out there, you'd be like, look at this guy. Like, yes, okay. Which kind of bothers me about the Black Hawk Buzz. I'm like, y'all need to get like some, which I'll talk to Victoria about. Like, whoever's doing the sportscast, today in sports, I'm like, come on, man, you got to be like energetic, screen presence. You know that people don't understand that, and I loved that side of the videography of it. I loved filming. I loved actually sitting in the background. I had a high-powered PC, and I would edit the pieces together. And what was amazing is to see kids all of a sudden look up and laugh, have a good time with it, sing along with stuff. Okay, I did a rap. I'm not doing that rap ever again, but I did do a rap. Okay, where I had to sing into a microphone and then I mouthed the words, but all the kids understood the concept behind it. Okay, so when I got in here as a teacher the first year, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't very good at it. And then as time has progressed, it's gotten better and better. But I took my passion and what I was good at and wanted to be a teacher. Okay, so you guys, what she had mentioned, you may like doing certain things, but what do you really enjoy doing? That's what you have to find out, okay? I have so many experiences that have shaped me. Hopefully, as you guys go through this, and you guys hear me say it a lot, personal stories, both good and bad. Use both. I don't care. Some teachers say, oh, no, I never share. Why? Boundaries. Okay, I understand that. But you're not going to really care about anything I say if you don't actually care about the person that's talking. Some teachers will ask you a question and they may look at you and give you the head nod. You guys may have seen that before. And then they really don't care. Well, that's not the same thing with me, and most of my students that I've had in the past can testify to that. Do you agree with the main point that the key to finding a job you love is to identify what you like being good at? Do you guys agree with that? Find out what you like being good at, and then that's what you have to do is translate that later on into something that you should do, okay? Because there are going to be some considerations you're going to want to take into place here, okay? Think about a couple things as we move forward, okay? Because the next thing is going to be something involving the computer, your guys' computer, and that's the only thing we're going to do the rest of the hour. Considerations for you is think about where you live or where you want to live, okay? Make sure there are jobs and your chosen major available, okay? Make sure that whatever you guys want to do, the passion that you have, is available somewhere else. Choose a career that fits who you are. The individual that I know of, that I don't know her personally, that decided to be a teacher, apparently getting into a classroom environment did not fit her well. She realized, oops, too late. For you guys, figure out something that fits you, okay? If you want to be in business, understand in order for you to get a business degree, you have to complete calculus. Okay, so if you understand that, ladies and gentlemen, no, you better start sooner. If you want to be in marketing, what would you do for that? Basically, figure out what works for you, and we will look through these things, okay? Get firsthand knowledge before you choose a major. talk with your elders. If anybody here wants to start a business, especially a small one, I would highly recommend you go find a business owner if you don't know one already and talk to them, especially in relation to the field that you want to go in and pick their brain. Most people will be happy to talk about their business because they will like to talk about what they are doing successfully and not successfully. Okay? Some of you guys have to understand that. Now, it takes a little bit of pleading on your part, especially if you are an introvert and you don't like to talk to other people. You're going to have to break out of that tiny little shell that you're in and go talk to them, because that is the real world. Okay? What does it really take? You need to find out. Figure out how much time and money you can devote to your education. Okay? My daughter is at a crossroads right now where she will finish her associate's degree. She'll be 20 at CGCC, but she doesn't have the money to go to ASU. So she's at a crossroads of taking a semester off because she graduated at 17 and then starting next fall, when probably they're in person and who knows what'll happen next fall. It'll probably be somewhat normal again, hopefully. And so she's going to take a semester off maybe and get another job, get 2 jobs, and start saving up as much money as she can. Okay. What are you going to have to do those things? It took me 10 years to complete my bachelor's degree. So I started, because I was in the military, it took me those 8 years, and then I was short like 2 classes, and I didn't want to take computer science and start all over again. So I actually had to go out and find 2 classes that would finish my major. Okay, I had to go pick science classes. I took a chemistry class from Rio Salado and an anatomy and physiology class, which is the hardest class to do online. You got to memorize so many bones, and I started falling asleep as soon as I started reading the textbook. Like, oh my gosh. But I had to do it. I think I had a high B going into that final, and I got a D on it. So I ended with a C in that class. The lowest grade I ever got, made me so mad. Think about the salary that you need, and this depends upon what we've already talked about in here. We did budgeting for career. Where are you living? What are you doing? If you're going to go live in San Francisco, you need to make at least $100,000 to probably live comfortably there. Okay? If you're going to go live in Alabama somewhere up north and be part of manufacturing, you don't need that much money. Okay? Depends on you and what you're going to want to do. All right? Think about your future opportunities. Listen, here's the deal that she talked about, same with me. I realized at the age of 35, which was, and I didn't make the jump for 4 more years, that when I became a financial analyst, I enjoyed more, which my boss knew at the time. I had a choice. He gave me a choice. He's like, you can either work for what was called Algebra at the time, which did all the patch testing stuff, or you can work with the dental practices one-on-one. And I told him I would prefer dental practices. And he goes, yeah, I figured you would because you're more of a people person where you want to interact instead of sitting down. I said, yeah. So for you guys, figure out what your future was. The only problem was at around 35, 36, I realized if I want to continue on this realm and make money, I got to go get my CPA, which is be a certified public accountant. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a no. All right. So for you guys, figure it out. I've already warned my youngest son about this. And I had the gentleman, you guys know this light doesn't work in here. What was it? Friday morning I came in. Dude, there's 2 guys on ladders. They were climbing up into there. And they were looking at it. And one was a master electrician. He's an older gentleman. He has 3 kids. He's told to go through college, and they all did. He's probably, I would say, early 50s. His regret is not getting an education that matches his skill level. He's a master electrician. At 30, that's fine. At 35, 40, he's fine. He's 50. He is now starting to feel, he's like, my body can't take this anymore. And he's telling me that in his broken English, And as he's training somebody that probably was in his early 60s. I wish I could get an office job, is what his quote was to me. And I'm not, I don't make stuff up. It was kind of like, oh, okay. And I told him about my son. He goes, yeah, that's smart. Because it's fine being 30, 40 when your body can handle it. Question is, can you still do it like all of my kids' grandfather owns his own business in Iowa as a plumber. He is probably now 64. He's the only one that's done it all his entire time. And I know he wakes up every morning and he's probably hurting. But unfortunately, there was a family incident with that one where he was supposed to pass his business along to his son, who unfortunately is no longer with us. Understand the demands and expectations of your career choice. Physical labor, that's going to come involved. You can do it for a short term because you guys are young. Not dumb, but young. What are you going to do when it becomes time for you guys to make that final next step? Okay, that's what you have to figure out. And then be realistic and honest and do what's right for you. Okay, now, if anybody has ever watched Community, right, the TV show, one of the gentlemen in there wants to be in film, Abed, but his dad wants him to be part of the restaurant business. So there's a big fight about that. For you guys, understand what you have to do, okay? What is right for you when it's all said and done. Make and choose a major or even a career based on you. Your personality, your abilities, motivation, heck, your desired lifestyle, and your circumstances. Because everybody says, who knows? Everybody in here is in different shoes. So a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Tomorrow, because we won't get to it today because I want to give you guys plenty of time. Did my mouse die? Nope, it didn't. Okay. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, when you guys do come in, we are going to talk about this. If you've never done this before, okay, there is a survey that I would want you guys to take on this website called Career One Stop. Most of you guys have done this type of stuff before, correct? If you have not, then ladies and gentlemen, here's an opportunity. If you have, guess what? Does it hurt to do another one? No. So what you need to understand is find out who you are, okay? Simple. It's basically 30 questions. Do this right out the gate tomorrow, okay? Where it asks you simple things. Do you like doing this? By the way, building it, probably yes. No. Figure out that. Help people with personal and emotional problems. Some of you, I know where that answer is going to be. Install software, repair. Now, these are general and bland. Does that matter? No. Okay, my career was always about, every time I took this survey, it was always about, oh, you would be good at helping people. Oh, okay, great, thanks. I'm like, what the hell job is that? Hey. Figured out eventually. It took me 40 years. You guys do the same thing, okay? Then after that, what you guys can expect to do is tomorrow we'll look at this cluster thing and then write down basically areas of work that may be interest of you, and then we'll look at an occupational outline. Okay, there's a handbook that's actually released every year by the Department of Labor and Statistics. And look at this. You guys can actually sit here and look at a whole bunch of different aspects. If you guys have never looked at this before, it'll tell you median pay, entry-level education, on-the-job training if you need some, and you can do number of jobs projected, growth rate, much faster than average, go. And it'll actually have you whole bunch of things. Really? Ooh, that sucks. Animal caretakers, yeah, less than 30 grand. Ooh. Figure it out. Okay, now this is just me selecting one category. Coaches and scouts. Oh, we need a bachelor's degree. Never mind. But damn, they don't make much. 10,000 because a lot of them are actually starting to retire. But that's what we'll do tomorrow is kind of look and let you guys look at these things and then realize what is out there. All right, statistically speaking, it's best to basically say, all right, you don't want to be in a career field. I saw somebody later, and I'll never, it's kind of like, I'll never push anybody to be a teacher unless you feel that's you're called to be a teacher, because it takes a special person. For those individuals that say, I'm going to go be a teacher, and then they get in there and they hate life, or they have to, I don't know how the English people do it, English teachers do it. I've seen some of your handwriting, and I can barely read it, nor can I understand it. Some of you probably type just like you write, horribly. But you guys have to figure those things out, okay? So that's what we'll work on tomorrow. Any questions? All right, so come prepared with your computers charged, please. All right, and then we'll work on these things, and we'll basically power through and look and see kind of what suits you. And then we'll go on this website, and because looking on this, just by putting down the fastest growing jobs and nothing else, because you can see I put on there, it came up with 166 entries. But there are 790 careers on the Occupational Outlook Handbook that is made by the Department of Labor and Statistics. So if you can't find a career or a generalized area of what might be a good fit for you, then I think, I don't want to say all hope is lost, but hopefully this will give you an even better idea and understanding, okay? Any questions on that? All right, simple enough today, everybody. The big goal for you guys is please make sure you get the projects done from last week. I noticed a lot of you on Canvas didn't do anything. They're open until Friday, and then I'm shutting them down, and that's it, okay? So the exit ticket and stuff already did close. The test is still open. If you did not finish it on Friday, please finish it. Then there's the apartment and utilities, and then the lease agreement. Those 4 things, okay, have until the test until tomorrow afternoon. The other 3 until Friday at midnight. This week, we're not going to be doing mini projects, okay? It's more about for you guys understanding kind of what you're going to be doing as we go forward, okay? A lot of you, that's the big thing for you, is making sure you understand where are you going from here, because some of you don't care, and I'm going to be very interested to see what the future holds. Any questions? All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it.